important to Australian businesses, Australian community and to the Australian economy on the table, and that is access to small and medium business financing. Because it's not working in this country, it needs to be much better, and this is an issue that we just have not been discussing enough in this chamber, and I believe needs serious attention from across the parliament. So let's talk about why this matters. We know that small and medium businesses employ 42% of the workforce in the private sector. There are 2.5 million small businesses in this country, and they contribute $500 billion to the economy. Now, I know from my own community how important our small and medium businesses are. But the truth is, when you talk to them, whether they be family shops that are being passed on between generations, or whether that be innovative businesses that are going to be the next big or medium businesses, they are not having access to capital that they need, and we, I think, collectively need to turn our minds to it. Now, I don't have all the answers. I want to put this on the issue on the agenda. Let's start with bank lending. So around in the sort of early 90s or late 90s, around 2/3 of bank lending went to business, 1/3 went to mortgages. Forward for all these few years now, around 2/3 of bank lending goes to mortgages and only 1/3 to businesses. Australian businesses are struggling to access capital from our banks. We demand high securitisation, more likely to ask you to put your house on the line if you're going to get a small business loan than in other countries. And what happens when small businesses can't access loans from the banks? They just go to other providers and just have to be charged much higher rates. And so my question is to this House is this a good idea? Is it a good idea that our small businesses are not able to access capital so easily? Is it a good idea that, on aggregate, we're seeing lending to medium and large firms growing around about 30% in the last 5 years, while small business hasn't even budged? These are issues that face our economy. They are issues that I hear about constantly from Wentworth, including from people that I recently surveyed on this issue. And I think this is an issue that I want to see the Economics Committee address and investigate. The second type of business I wanted to talk about in terms of access to capital are those venture firms, those firms that are expected to grow fast and could be the big businesses of the future, those really super innovative firms. And what we have seen is that Australia is actually pretty good at building those firms. Actually, Australia has more unicorn companies per, unicorn meaning $1 billion valuation per dollar invested than anywhere else in the world. But despite this, despite our success at building these companies, we actually don't have a lot of capital that flows into this sector. We have around 1/3 of the capital in the venture sector compared to the US per capita. We have around half of the venture sector capital of the UK. And what we're seeing in the big institutional areas of investment, like superannuation, they're actually reducing their allocation to venture, high innovative firms than they were in the past. That's actually around halved. The super funds have around halved their allocation to venture in the last 10 years. And I've heard from industry sources that no big super fund has invested in a new venture fund over the last 5 years. Basically, the door is closed. And I come back to this question of productivity and supporting our most exciting and innovative businesses and saying, if they are struggling so much on finance, how can we be sure that we're backing all the businesses that we can for the future? I think we can be sure that we're not. Now, how to investigate this? I held a roundtable recently with a bunch of venture firms, and I was grateful that the Minister for Industry, Tim Ayres, also attended. And there were really important discussion, I think, in terms of regulatory hurdles, things like RG97 and Your Future, Your Super, the structure of those two programs, which disincentivises access, investment in venture firms. Now, let's be really clear. This isn't about trying to give money, from super funds for dud investments. Private equity and venture capital has had on average a 15% return over the last 10 years compared to 10% for the ASX. So if there is more responsible investing in those sectors, we could actually expect to see increased retirement savings for Australians, which is what super should all be about. So, as I said from the start, I don't have all the answers on this, but I know that there is a problem. I know that some of the super fund regulation plays into that, but there's a much bigger question of how can we get access to capital to venture firms, and that's why the Economics Committee and the government need to be pursuing this issue, and I'll be pursuing it.